Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, good morning, and good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is John Ryan, part of the Ribbon Channel Marketing team, and I'm pleased to have our large part of our Kandy team here to present our Kandy Technical Fireside Chat on routing calls today. We're going to have our experts cover several topics and best practices around routing calls on the Kandy platform. Please feel free to submit any questions you may have in the Q&A window, and we'll look to answer those questions as soon as we can. And with that, we'll first start with Sarah Hughes, who is based in Texas, and we'll have her start a webinar. Sarah, you there?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks everybody for being on the call. And so what we're going to go through today, we're going to talk about, as John mentioned, we're going to talk about routing calls. We're going to talk about how different ways that you can route your main number. We're also going to talk about in detail our automated attendant and some best practices, use cases. Through this, I'm going to have some PowerPoint presentation sharing my screen, but also going into our admin. I also have a tool to be able to show you actually making calls, and you're going to see that live. So it'll be a little bit different. So there'll be kind of a feature demo in these, as well as Lee Higgins, Dave Fowler, and Ted Stutchberry and all will be able to talk about some troubleshooting tips and some things that they've seen from a support or gotcha standpoint. So we're going to do that for Auto Attendant. We're going to do that for Hunt Groups, and we're also going to do that for Find Me, Follow Me settings. And we'll talk about general delivery, mailbox, kind of best practices around that. Okay, so let's get started here. And there are multiple ways in Kandy. Kandy is very, very flexible in the provisioning of this to be able to allow you to do different things. And so although we have basically 7 different types of routing calls, and some of them are more call contact center oriented, we're going to do those in a separate session, okay? So we're going to take the call center piece of that out of it. We're going to, again, start with auto attendants. There's lots of different things. We'll go through the details of that. We'll talk about Hunt Groups and end user web portal. But the reason why we have so many of these options for you is that in a business environment, in cloud unified communications, one size doesn't fit all. And so that's where, again, we have that flexibility and it all being here on the platform. So we're not going to talk about the call center related functions. We're going to focus here, all right, and drill down in that. When we talk about the main number itself for a business, you typically, first of all, want to ask the question to your end customer, hey, do you want a live person answering these calls? Some businesses do. Or do you want everything going through an automated attendant? Or do you want a mixture of both? So there's several different ways to do this, and we're going to be drilling down into this as we go along. But let's say they want everything to go through an auto attendant. This might be because they don't have a position staffed full-time to answer every single call that comes in, and they want to be able to allow people to pick and choose a menu choice and get to the right department. So that's where we're going to build an auto attendant as a subscriber in KBS provisioning, and we've got some cool things to show you on that. So if it is going to be answered by a live person, and again, there are many businesses that still want to be able to do that, and that operator or receptionist position would not be in a queue, you would build the main number as a user. All right, and there are different packages, as you know, and that, let's say that's with a Voice Plus or equivalent type of package that you've renamed our Voice Plus into that. You can also decide whether or not you want that to have a general delivery mailbox or not. It's up to you. And then we could set up, or you could set up voicemail to email so that if a mailbox or message is left for the main number, then it's routed to best practices is to a distribution list, not to an individual, in case somebody is, out of town or is left the company, anything like that. And you could also then build that receptionist as their own, but give that main number as a line appearance on their phone. And so that way the receptionist could have his or her own personal mailbox, but then the main number has a general delivery mailbox. And so give them a SIP telephone, give them some line appearances, and you can also give them a software-based client that we call the attendant console to be able to answer calls and route calls and manage that. Especially in today's time with pandemic and all of that, they can work from home or work from anywhere. Also, you could have a mixture of both. There's a lot of businesses out there that want to have during business hours a live operator and after hours an auto attendant. There's several different ways to do that too. So you can do the same as building an individual main number and receptionist kind of thing. You could absolutely do that. You can also set up an auto attendant to have route during business hours one way, off hours to use the actual auto attendant in a menu choice. So those are some neat things. We also have the ability in the main number when you create it. Every single user in KBS land has an end user web portal. And for those that have the Voice Plus and higher package, you can go in and set Find Me settings there too. All right. Also, within the auto attendant, there's business hours, all that kind of stuff, and you can set all of that there in addition to holidays. Now, you may have an operator like our company. There's multiple locations and there's a receptionist position at several of them. Maybe you want them to be in a queue because you want statistics and you want reports and all of that kind of stuff. And so you can build a receptionist as one of our, we call it Kandy call center or CCL call center light, depending on where you are. And that main number could be built as a queue. And then each one of those receptionists logs into a soft client, let's say, or their telephone, and they answer calls for that queue. So those are other options around the main number. But we're going to delve into this quite a bit more here. So let's start off with the auto attendant. Now, the auto attendant, as I said, is created as a subscriber in the database. And you get one for every business you create. There's a no charge inventory that we've set up. And then there are additional auto attendants that can be added, but you have to add them as inventory in your dashboards, as you hopefully know. But those actually have a fee associated with it. With the auto attendant, there are the main business hours menu. There's also a holiday menu, and there's an off hours menu. But then you can create up to 7 different sub-menus off of that. So you can make this, pretty lengthy if you want, but keep in mind the user experience through this. And you can have, like I said, a separate menu just for holidays. It will have the same greeting on it. So you may want to change the greeting upon each holiday if you want to say, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever it is. But you can have a max of 20 holidays. I don't know about you, but 20 is more than enough for where I live. But there's some places and some banks that there's a holiday every week. But the options that you have in the auto attendant are, number one, you can dial a number. That's probably the most commonly used. And here you can see in my example, I've got, for sales, press 1, for support, press 2, all of that. You can have it go to a voicemail account. So a general delivery mailbox or an announcement only mailbox type of thing you could do. I'm going to show you how to set up dial by extension. We've got dial by name also. You also have hunt groups in here or ring lists in here. So we'll talk about that. And you can have announcements only for our fax and mailing address. Press 3, you could do that. And then, of course, you can have submenus. You can, within this interface, you see there's a red button here at the top. Within this interface, you can click record. And when you do, you could either upload a file maybe someone has already recorded, or you, through your telephone, you can have it dial out to you, connect, and you can record the greeting on the phone. Best not to do it on a speakerphone because you get interaction. Best to pick up the handset and do it. And then you would, go through the menu choices to listen, to play, and re-record whatever it is. A couple of things in this, that these menus will play 2 times, and then it will route to, if nothing's pressed, no input is detected, it will route to whatever you define as 0 in this. In this example here, I've got 0 that dials a number, and then it maybe the offsite answering service or whatever it is, okay? pound is your repeat, and a lot of people don't know this, but the asterisk or the star is your dial by name, not extension. Sorry, this is dial by name. We'll go through that, okay? Couple of cool things that have been added in release 48.1, which is for most everybody on this particular webinar, you were either your system has been upgraded to that already, or I believe it's going to happen on the 30th that worldwide everybody will be on release 48.1. Now, something that is really, really cool is within admin, just like if you're provisioning a subscriber, once you save the subscriber, you go back in, you can have the ability to pass through into their end user web portal or personal agent, whatever it is for you. And so what we've done is we've added the ability to pass through, as you're provisioning this auto attendant, you can pass through without having to put in a separate URL into your browser and username and password. It automatically takes you, instead of swivel chair provisioning, your auto attendant can be provisioned right here, okay? Yay. The second piece of that is for the end users. They are also in 48.1 able to go to settings, just like they go set up in their greetings or their voicemail password, and they're able to pass through, again, with this button called Message Portal. Again, you click on settings. Over on the right-hand side, you'll click on voicemail, see all your voicemail settings, and then you'll see at the bottom right the actions where you would typically see save settings. You'll have a message portal, and it will take you, pass you through, again, no password, login credentials, anything like that, because it knows it's tied to your user and you're authenticated, will pass you through into that. Now, why would an end user need to go into the voicemail portal if everything pretty much they have is within end user web portal already? Their voicemail messages are there. They can set up their password and greetings and all. If they want more advanced functions like personal distribution lists and some other things like that, then they're absolutely able to link into that, okay? All right, so let's talk about dial by extension. Dial by extension is in the Kandy portal. The extension, which is a way to short dial someone instead of having to dial the full however many digits, you dial maybe 4 digits for them. And in this, that's called alias in Kandy when you're provisioning the subscriber. But you can set up a menu and make the choice dial by extension. Now, this works great if all your employees in the business are basically the extensions start with the same digit, okay? In some scenarios, especially if it's larger than 1,000 employees, that's not going to be the case. You're going to have more than one starting leading digit for extensions. And so you'll want to more than likely have a submenu. So to dial by extension, press whatever, and then it'll have an announcement, please enter your party's extension, blah, blah, blah. And so then you can use the 2, the 3, the 4, however many in there with your leading digit of extension. So you can see in this example, my extension is 9004. Okay, that I have over here on my deal, and I'm going to show that to you when we demonstrate this. And so in the meeting, or in the main greeting here, okay, up at the top, where it says in-hours greeting, I should change that to make sure that it matches to, if you know your party's extension, you may dial it at any time. And what this is going to do, because mine is my extension is 9004, then the 9 will be captured here as dial by extension, and it will collect 4 digits and then pass it over based upon what I have in the auto attendant directory. And we're going to go through that in just a minute. Okay. So something else within auto attendant is that you have the ability to create 4 different types of hunting scenarios in that. Now, there is circular, in order means there's a defined list, random, it's going to choose any of them, and least called. These are things that if you wanted to have one of those menu prompts to hunt to certain numbers, you could do that. You could also route it to a pilot hunt group in our system and route it that way. But notice that this is maximum 4 numbers, and you get to choose how long to try each number. You can choose the different types, and simultaneous is one of them as well, which is ring all. But this might work for certain scenarios where these might be cell phone numbers of people that you're trying to reach out to. Maybe they're not true subscribers in KBS. That might be a reason to do this. It may be, again, you've got max 4 numbers that you can ring. So if you need more than that, this is not the best way to do it. To use Kandy Hunt Groups would probably be a better choice, okay? But this is something that you can do as part of it. All right, let's talk about dial by name. Dial by name in the documentation, we get a lot of questions on this because whenever you're setting this up, you really don't have in that menu list, you don't see star and you don't see pound. Pound is a repeat by default, but the star is for dial by name. Now, when you set up dial by name, you can have it match based upon them entering the first name or the last name or either one. But you got to tell people in that greeting what that's going to be. That you can, enter the first 3 digits of the party's last name or first name or name in general or both. And what it's going to do is it's going to use something called the directory within the Auto Attendant to do that matching. Okay, so it's very important that those be in that. And this below here is the directory itself, okay? So I'm going to go through a little bit about this directory. One of the things is you can import into this. And I think the best way to do this is to go over to, you could add them manually, which takes a lot of time and maintenance to have to keep this updated. But there is a CSV file, and you can export, what's there, which is empty to begin with, and you can see those. But the headings are this: first name, last name, extension, email, and action. And so couple of things. You can go to the subscriber detail report when you see the list of subscribers in provisioning, and you can export that. And you can remove any of the columns that you don't need. You can change the headers where, A1 needs to say first name, B1 last name, C1 extension, D email, which I'm not really going to use, and E action. But you'll see in this, and this was a true representation of my importing this in, same way, that in action you need to say dial. So this is how we're matching the extension to a physical number, okay? Because the system needs this number in order to initiate that call to that extension or match that party's name. Okay, one of the things that you can do is there is an Excel formula called concatenate, and then you can say adding, I know the PSTN or the DID because it came in the export. You can take that and basically take those 2 cells and put them together with this concatenate. Okay, and so you can put dial in front of every one of them. And so this is a formula to do that. Then you would go in, save it as a CSV on your computer, and you would import it in. At the top up here, you choose the file and you set your different settings. Do you want to overwrite anything or do you want to add to it? One of the things that will be problematic is if you have, in this one I had 2 entries in here with 9,004. Okay, and so as I was going through, I didn't hit overwrite. It didn't see that in there, and you cannot have it. You'll have problems if you have duplicate entries. Okay, so again, that's a way to do the export from Kandy Admin and subscribers, and then using the bulk import tool within Auto Attendant. Okay, now then, let's flip over and go through Auto Attendant here. So let me log in. And as I mentioned, the Auto Attendant, I've created them as a separate user, and I have a customer called New Company, And in here, you'll see new company I'm filtered, provision subscribers, and I have an auto attendant user called mainline auto attendant. Okay, so you want to create them as a specific user, and I used my default here, which is everybody gets one individual. If I created multiples than that, I would need to have a product called Auto Attendant, and I could select it from there. If you do not see Auto Attendant in here, then you need to go to the dashboard and add some inventory. All right, so I've chosen a number, all that kind of stuff. I actually have an alias here for them. And in 48.1, you have a message portal that'll tie you into it. But for the rest of us, until 48.1 is loaded in, I have logged in here. So I've got my menu. So for sales, press 1, and what it does is it dials a number, and that is, Hunt Group, whatever it is. For billing, technical support, general inquiries. Those are actually going to Kandy Call Center. And then I have my dial by extension here, and you could print this, but you don't know that star is for dial by name and pound is for repeat. So you should say that in your greeting. So again, if I'm going to change my greeting, here's where you could choose a file, okay, or record it and it will call you, okay? So a lot of people don't realize that that can be done. Pretty cool. This is my in hours. So you can also have out of hours. And you could say, well, I'm going to put the greeting on that our offices are closed, our office hours are blah, blah, blah. But if you don't have to say this, but you could tell everybody that, hey, you could still dial by extension. Your family can reach you if you're working late or something like that. Again, this is one you control here. And then you have holidays. So you could set your different holidays, all that kind of stuff. But even this is my holiday greeting. And you may want to have that changed often, but happy holidays, whatever it is. Hey, we're off for the holiday. And of course, you can still dial by extension. And then you have up to 7 different submenus that you can go in. So you may have for English or for Spanish, press whatever, French, whatever it is, and then that would take them to a submenu where you have the same options, but you have a different greeting. Okay. Directory. Main thing we wanted to talk about here was the directory. So again, I can hit import or export, and I do have my options here. I can choose the file. I also have my preferences, which was my dial by name, and I said first name. And so because I have a small group of employees, first name works, but last name, of course, it'll look for a match and tell you there's multiple options. Okay. And then here, I could edit each one of these. So if I wanted to change the spelling, something like that, change what the dialing number is, you don't have to have an email address, but you would hit update. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is keep this on the screen, but I'm going to show you my, got a little setup here. So I'm going to, oh, sorry, I got to log in. All right, so I'm going to make a call to that auto attendant, and what I'm going to do is show you, first of all, menus here. And you'll be able to see it here as well, okay? So I'm going to dial the auto attendant. Thank you for calling New Company. For sales, press 1. For billing, press 2. For technical support, press 3. For any general inquiry, press 4. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it at any time. To use our company directory, press star now. Okay, I'm going to dial by extension 9004. Okay, and that's going to ring here, dial by extension. Okay, and again, that matched on this, so 9004 was here. I'm also going to show you dial by name, same thing. Thank you for calling New Company. For sales, press 1.
For billing, press 2. For technical support, press 3. For any general inquiry, press 4. If you know your party's extension, you may dial at any time. To use our company directory, press star now. Enter the name of the contact entry you would like to retrieve using the letters of your telephone keypad. Use the star key to indicate any sequence of characters. When finished, press the pound key.
S-A-R-A, pound.
H-U-G-H-E-S-S-A-R-A. To continue, press 1.
Okay. So that is how dial by name and dial by extension work. And let's click over here. There are a couple of troubleshooting things in Auto Attendant. And if there's any questions, definitely put them in are there any questions that we want to cover right now, Dave or Lee? Some of the common things that we've seen, I don't know, Dave, did you have any?
There's been several questions around the Auto Attendant. Let me see if several are around the 0 option.
Yes.
One that just came in was, is there the ability to change from 0 to another digit? And the answer to that one is no. There was a question about whether you can have the voicemail, if a voicemail's left, go to a group essentially. But yes, you can set up the voicemail email to go to a distribution group for that, just like you can a subscriber. The second part to that question was, is there a way to have the messages auto deleted so that you don't have to log in and clear them out? And the answer to that is currently no.
Right,
no,
but they are
still
looking
have to
at
log
that.
in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right.
So, but currently no, you still have to log in and check it out. I think those are good for now.
A lot of the common entries, and we kind of gathered these from several areas, but an entry not being in the Auto Attendant directory correctly, maybe there's a duplicate entry like the one I had in my example, not realizing that it's going to play the message twice, and then it'll use that 0 option. And if you, we recommend that you always set that, that you'll need to make sure and do that. If you don't set 0, then it goes to the general delivery voicemail box by default. So that's another default there. Some troubleshooting things, just like you would with any case or any line, do some traces. As you open cases, attach traces for that particular line. You can search for outbound calls, members of the hunt group, stuff like that, as you or Auto Attendant, however it is that you're setting this up. But include those traces in that, because that's most of the time what our team is going to need to have. Okay, now we're going to transition into Hunt Groups, and Hunt Groups itself has a lot of content in here too. There's documentation on the portal user guide for organizations and setting this up, but a Hunt Group has several different types. One is sim-ring to ring all. One is linear, so it'll go down a list, and another is circular, so it does it in a round-robin fashion. And in order to be a Hunt Group member, because we don't charge for Hunt Groups, in order to be a Hunt Group member, you have to at least be in that Voice Plus package or higher. And these are provisions not in the subscriber area, but in call answering groups. And a couple of mutually exclusive kind of things that not everybody knows, that you cannot be part of a shared line appearance and be a Hunt Group member at the same time, okay, because it just some interactions. So those are mutually exclusive. And Hunt Groups are great for informal groups, people who are not, they're not going to need to have to log in and out of a queue or something like that. So if we look at the different types of Hunt Groups, so if we start off with the linear, it's going to start with the first person you have in the list, go to the second and the third. This is great when you've got a primary person who would answer that call and handle it, but then you've got backups if those people are busy. But you always want it to go to Susie Q. The circular is going to do just in a random order, and it may be different each time. And this is great when you've got anybody in that team as a member of the hunt group could answer it. But you really, you can allow that caller to wait because it's going to try the first one for so many seconds, then the second one for so many seconds, and the third one. Is your end customer going to be okay waiting that long to reach everybody? And then the last one is sim ring, and this is going to ring everybody at the same time. And this is best when, again, everybody can handle it, but it's only going to ring those that are not already on the phone. So if they're busy, then it won't ring them. And if the the end customer can't afford to wait that long, can't afford to ring all 5, 10 people in order to find somebody. Okay. So a couple of things. One is the group name. You want to name the hunt group something that is specific to the hunt group so that you can find it, but also it's going to appear on the display. So you have to keep that in mind as calls come in. It will also appear in reports and other things like that. So you'll definitely want to find that. The busy route, as you're setting up a hunt group, you get to choose what happens in a no answer condition. And you can say, keep hunting, or you could say, go to the busy route. And that busy route would be then if you've tried everybody, exhausted the list, and where do I want it to go? That could be an offsite answering service. That could be a general delivery mailbox for a department. It could be lots of things. When you provision a hunt group, you have the choice of building an alias or an extension, like to match, and which is also important. Was we were talking about Auto Attendant, that dial by extension or whatever could be one of these hunt groups if needed. The wait time, that's how long you're going to try each person in that hunt group list. And like Auto Attendant had a max of 4 in a hunt group. Well, you can do much more than that. That's why you would choose it here. And a couple of things here, the agent call rules. This is something that if you enable this, that means if that agent has their calls forwarded or they have a find me list themselves, then the call would actually follow that. And so you as an administrator lose control of how that call is routed and what happens to it. So if you need that control, you want to disable this. If you want, there are scenarios where you want them to be able to do that because they're on call and you want them to be able to set that. So again, it's up to you, but just keep in mind if you enable agent call rules, if they've set up forwarding or find me settings, it will take over. Okay, one thing that people tend to forget is that when you create a hunt group, whether it's linear, sim ring, sequential, whatever it is, or round robin, circular, that those actually come with the ability for you to play music on hold, keep hunting, right? They're going to hear something. And then it also, if you have an overflow, so if you're going to route it to a destination, other than keep hunting, you can play a message. And so those are found in provision services media. You can go in and upload a file. Your max is 20 megabits. And then you can go in and you'll see here, if you hit manage settings, then you have for the 2 hunt groups that I have, a billing and a linear, that I have a music on hold and an overflow. Okay, because I'm using busy route. And so before it goes to busy route, you could say your call is being escalated or whatever it is. And you just check the box on the left-hand side of which one you want to edit. And because I checked music on hold, I could also check this one because it's another music on hold here. And you then select one of the files, kind of a guitar picking, plucking kind of thing is what I said here, and hit save. Okay, so don't forget you can do that. Another thing is alpha tagging. And so this is a common confused deal, is that as calls are coming in, you can put in a descriptive name that would basically replace the caller ID name part of that, so that when the agent gets the call, you'd be able to see that it's, because I could be, I say agent, it could be a hunt group member, could be in several hunt groups. So in this case here, I could be in the sales hunt group, the billing hunt group, and the technical support hunt group because I'm multifaceted. And so as that call comes in, I need to know to answer it differently. If this is a call for a specific VIP customer, white glove service, or what. So knowing that, and the alpha tag allows me to do that. So you can also know that this is a call for the hunt group versus a call to your personal line. Okay, so that's another differentiating thing. Anyway, those are standard caller ID fields, but do realize that this is passed in the SIP from header, and that some endpoints maybe need to be configured to properly display it. So, an example we have, Lee Higgins told me about that iPhones only allow the first 10 or 14 characters. Well, if your digits are much more than that, then it may not display the entire number. So, but depending upon the devices and stuff that your members are using. Okay. Advanced hunt groups. A lot of people don't know that there's something called advanced hunt groups. And you can go in, there's no charge. It's basically the same as a standard hunt group in call answering groups, but you have to go in the dashboard, increment inventory, and add either advanced hunt group NA0021 is the baseline that you may have created products under. If you haven't created products around these, you may want to do this. We also have KBS HG Hunt Group 001. That is also Hunt Groups Advanced. Again, no charge, but what this does, it gives you can increment one to a particular business, and there's no licensing cap on that. So you can use it all over the place. You'll see it as Advanced Hunt Group Linear, Advanced Hunt Group Circular, Advanced Hunt Group Simmering, but you'll also have in the pull down in call answering groups, the other types of hunt groups. And the difference is this gives you a time of day controller. And in order to make that work correctly, you're going to need to make sure as an administrator that you set the proper time zone of where this customer resides, okay? And so that's really important because the hunt group administrator is not able to do that. You have to do that as a provisioning. So let's look at how this is different when you use advanced hunt group. You saw my linear before, but before the call comes in, it's going to check time of day based upon what's set there. And if it's closed, it goes to the busy route, okay? Not overflow to the busy route if everybody's busy, but only here if the time of day, if it's outside of business hours. And if it's open, it's going to do what the other one does, okay? Same thing here with circular. It's going to look at time of day. If it's closed, hours, because that's something set, it'll go to the general delivery mailbox or department mailbox for this particular hunt group. So when you create an advanced hunt group, it automatically creates a mailbox for that hunt group, okay? If it's open, then it brings the regular way. Same thing for simmering, checking time first that this call comes in, and only routing to that mailbox for the hunt group if it's there, if it's in the outside business hours. Okay, as a hunt group administrator, did you know that you can set an administrator for each and every hunt group that you have, and you can have multiples. So there's an admin field, and we'll look at it in a minute. You can check that. That person can be a hunt group member or outside of the hunt group membership. They don't have to be part of the hunt group to be a hunt group administrator. And in the end user web portal, typically everybody has this account, okay, where they see, call logs and address books and settings and all of that. But there is something new whenever you add hunt group admin, and it's called configuration. And then you have call routing, you click on call answer groups, and if they're a hunt group administrator or a UCD group administrator, then that will automatically show up in there and they can pick and choose. So the things that they can do are things like they can add and remove members from the group, okay? So it's kind of like adding people into and out. Maybe they're in training this week, so I'm going to take them out of the hunt group. They can change and add routing numbers. They can change the extension, the busy route number. They can change how long it's going to ring each person member in that. They can also change the no answer action to go to busy route or keep hunting, and they can change alpha tags. They can also manage the order. So if I do that linear where it has a list, so it's going to try the first person in the list. Well, if I need Susie Q to be first today because she's trained, she's cross-trained, now we're going to have her be first, then I can do that. And I can also launch wall boards. So this is really important for a supervisor or a hunt group administrator to have this enabled for them so they can get to wall boards. So that's pretty cool. Let's talk about that. Advanced hunt groups, though, allow that administrator to have a couple more things. They can change the business hours. So if, this is Monday through Friday, but we're going to start opening up on Saturday, 9 to noon, then, that can be set as well by them. And then they can pass through and go into managing the mailbox, which is the distribution list that you should do voicemail to email and that kind of stuff, as Dave Fowler talked about. They can see messages, they can forward messages, they can play messages. They can also reset the password for the telephone interface and change the voicemail to email, like I said, to an email distribution list, change their greetings on that, as well as pass through now into the voicemail portal and manage other things. So wall boards. These are near real-time statistics for a given hunt group. And again, whether it's an advanced hunt group or a standard hunt group, doesn't matter. This is something that's optional. There is a fee for this, so you are being charged for this. You would need to go in and make sure a product is configured first, but there are one of two that you'll have in your catalog to do. You'll either have the, down here at the bottom, KBS HG002, or you could have the CC Wallboard Hunt Group 002. It's the same thing. One of the two of those, you'll add only one to a business, and then you can have Wallboards Deluxe. Okay, and you access it through one of two ways. You'll go in and act like you're editing a wallboard, or sorry, editing a hunt group, and then you'll have a button on the side there for wallboard. Or as a hunt group administrator, you will go in and as you're in that, click on the configuration, call answering groups, choose the hunt group, and you'll have wallboard there that you can click on. So here's an example of the different stats. Okay, so calls abandoned, answered, total calls, waiting calls, longest wait, current longest wait, how many agents or hunt group members that you have on calls, total talk time, which is your conversation time, and average talk time. A couple of things that people may not know. Number one about hunt wallboards is that each one of these tiles, you can drag and drop them around. So if you need to see something different. And the beauty of this is you can also have a monitor set up in, let's say, an area in the corner, and they can see this. All the agents can see this. You can also, for each one of these, you can set thresholds. So that here you see red, red, red. You could say it'll cross this threshold. I want it to turn red. So it will tip me off that, ooh, something's happening here. And you can also go in and I'm going to show you here in a second. You can reset the timer on these because they're all clocking back to a certain time frame. We'll talk about that in just a second. In addition to statistics, near real-time statistics, so it's not exactly real-time, there's kind of a delay here, is that you also can do hunt group reports. And what you can do in that, I'll show you when we do the demonstration, is that you can go into metrics, call statistics, and then select a hunt group in that list, drill down to how far you want, and click the schedule icon, and it'll take you over to schedules, and then you can configure a schedule report to email to you about just what you filtered down on for your hunt group. So again, sometimes people tie those together. So the stats on the hunt group wallboard, we talked about here, I've defined them. Those are in the documentation as well. But agents, those are all hunt group members that are on active calls for the hunt group. Start time, or I'm sorry, average talk time is the sum of the minutes of the calls answered over since the start time. Calls answered, calls overflowed means that they hit that busy route and went elsewhere. And then the overflowed percentage here is just a formula of total overflowed divided by total calls. Okay, did want to cover a couple of things here. Wallboards are going to calculate based upon what you've set as the start time. So you actually have to go into the wallboard. Up at the example here, there's a little cog. Hit that, and it'll open this up. And then here at the top, it says when it had started, and at the end of the shift, beginning of a new shift, your business hours, you want your hunt group administrator or someone managing this wallboard to hit and reset that, okay, so that these are all based upon the beginning of the time. We recommend doing that every day at the beginning of shift, at the beginning of the day. That way you're really seeing the stats, from that moment, okay? Let's go over and look quickly here at hunt groups again. I know we have a lot of content here, and we want to make sure we're answering questions as well. I think the team is doing a good job on that. So new company here, and I have provision call answering groups. Okay, so I have a linear hunt group and I have a SimRing hunt group. I also have an advanced hunt group. And then provision services media was the hunt group managing the settings here for the hunt group overflow and the music on hold. And you can click any of those and edit those and based on what you've uploaded. Okay. So going back to abandon those changes, provision, call answering groups. Here is a SimRing hunt group. And the members that show up at the bottom of this are all the members that are in this business group. And anybody that is, let me uncheck, anyone that is not that Voice Plus user and a hire is grayed out because they can't be a hunt group member. Okay, so that's why the yellow is there. You can pick and choose people, and then you can pick and choose who you want to be the hunt group administrator. Okay, that's really important if you want them to be able to manage that and see the wallboard. Here you see this launch wallboard. So when I do that, I have, this will show up, and the only way to get to this again is from provisioning admin or being a hunt group administrator in your end user web portal. Okay, so I can click on any of these icon here and I can set thresholds and enable after it, covers this or that, change it. And this is how I go in and set my time. Okay, I can reset that and it'll redo that. Okay. Again, as you create a particular hunt group, you can set aliases, more than one. You can set busy route. You can set how long it's going to try each person of these here and whether it goes to the busy route or continues to hunt. The alpha tags, as we talked about, replacing the caller name in the from header. So those can be set here. And if in a SimRing, it actually uses what you've got here. So that's why you want to name this something descriptive that would actually show up correctly on a display. All right, and in metrics, we were talking about going to call statistics. I can find my hunt group here, billing hunt group, let's say, drill down on it, and then come over and hit schedule a report. Now I've done that here already. And so this would be my hunt group linear and when I want it to go, okay? So these are the people that are in my hunt group. All right, let's jump then over to the troubleshooting of this. A few things that come up are the not having the realizing in an advanced hunt group, as you see it in the list, that it's only going to go to that voicemail if it's non-business hours. It's not going to do that once it exhausts everybody. Okay, so it only does that then. And if you want the wallboard to show, you need to turn off pop-up blockers because that needs to pop up from that, especially if you're using Safari. One of the things, if you want to overflow to someone's voicemail or an auto attendant, then our team can do that, but we just need you to open up a case for our operations team to do that for you. A couple of other things. One is that a hunt group will not ring someone who is already on a call. If you want that to happen, then we can use Find Me, Follow Me, and I'll go through that next. If a member in the hunt group is out to lunch or in training, they can use the Do Not Disturb feature and select that star code kind of thing, or a speed dial for star code on it, and it will stop calls coming to them. Okay, any other big questions that came in, guys, before we go into Find Me? Okay, I'm going to keep going here. Unless you do.
Yeah, just keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got some questions, but I think that a lot of them are pretty specific to the user.
Okay. Find Me. Every single one of the users in KBS Land does have an end user web portal. And if they, again, are a Voice Plus and higher, or Voice Premium and higher user, then they have the ability to set Find Me. And Auto Attendant is one of those. So you've got all the settings in the Auto Attendant that we went through, but you can also log into the main line or the Auto Attendant end user web portal, just like you would a regular user, and you can go in and set up their Find Me, Follow Me. You can also, if you've tried all these other methods, and let's say you tried it this way, you tried it this way, and you really need a little more flexibility or whatever, you might look at building a dummy user and using something that at least has Voice Premium, not any higher, and you can say, you know, whether or not you want them to have voicemail in this. And you can, a lot of times, since this is just for routing purposes, don't use a DID, a direct telephone number for this. You can use an alias. You can use a non-DID number. But you can go in and you can pass through in provisioning into the user portal. Okay, and here you can go in and you can say, in this, I have a sequential and it has 3 in it. Now you can open up an ops case and have this up to 10 if you need to, but that can be done. And you can choose, I need it to ring this particular number. I can set other on all these, and I need it to ring this number for 3 rings, this number for 4 rings, this number for 6 rings. That's when the best case use scenario is here. When you have different people and you need it to ring 5 rings here, 3 rings here, 2 rings here, 4 rings here. That's why I would use this method. And End User Web Portal by default for sequential only has 3. If you need more, open an ops case and we'll get that expanded. Simultaneous ring will ring all of those for you. And then you also save the route, you're done. But if you need more time of day, day of week, business hours, off hours kind of thing, you can use the advanced route. But if you use advanced, then you need to go into Address Book, Manage Self, and here at the bottom you can see, put in those telephone numbers that you're going to route to, okay? Because it really needs, it uses the self piece in this, home phone, mobile phone, whatever it is. And the way that these advanced routes work is the top portion is, it's basic code programming. If this criteria is met, then do this, else do this. So if nothing is in the top, everything goes through it. If you want to do time of day kind of things, day of week, you check this box to, if calls are received at these times, you click this link and over here you have your business hours, nights and weekends. Okay. And then here is your then. You can have it ring these numbers for 3 rings, these numbers for 4 rings, these ring for 6 rings. Again, whenever you open a case and have it expanded for sequential, that would have more of those in it. You can set, if no answer, go here. If busy, go here. If unreachable, that means that you don't have any clients logged in, you don't have a phone configured, anything like that, then where does that go? And then these are the exceptions. If it's a call from this, a call from this. Okay, so those are things you can definitely do to help route things with a dummy user. And let me just kind of show you what that looks like. Again, here I'm going to go into, I have a dummy user created. You don't have to call it that. You can call it routing, whatever. But we're only going to use this to do some different things. I have it created as a voice standard package, which is another for the Voice Plus. And I'm just going to pass through here to the user portal. I could do that on the main number. I could do that on the Auto Attendant as well, but I'm doing it here. Let me make this a little bit bigger. And manage self. If you're going to use the advanced, you're going to want to set some settings in here for numbers because it needs to use that. Then if it's just basic, again, I've set mine to be, there's simultaneous. You can set all of these as other. You don't even have to use the user one here. All of these could be different numbers that you populate. You can do up to 10 by default. If you want to use sequential, there's 3, but again, you can open up a case and have these added. The benefit of using it here is that you can set in user portal, find me, is that you can set the different rings and choose the order up and down in this. Whereas our hunt groups and the Auto Attendant hunting does not allow you to set how many rings each one of them have. Now, if you want to go into advanced mode, that's where your if-then-else statements. If you've ever used email routing rules, that's another thing. You create a route, name it. So let's say this is business hours. And you say, hey, I want to do this. I want to ring this one. I want to ring this one. I want to look at business hours, no answer here, blah, blah, blah. And here's where you set my office hours, and it'll pop up, okay? Similarly, this same scenario is how you do the advanced routing. The advanced hunt group has the time of day, and it's doing the same exact thing. So for that hunt group voicemail, it's looking at this first and then using that voicemail, okay? So you could say, here's your business hours, ring this ring for 4 rings, these numbers. This is why it doesn't really have an other here. That's where I said you'd want to put in different numbers that you might have in your managed self. Okay. All right. So
Actually, Sarah, you can go back to where you just were, please.
Yes.
No, it was in the where you're adding the numbers there.
Uh-huh.
So on these numbers, there is a plus right there.
Learn something new every day. So this is where you could put off-site answering service. Love that. Thank you. Yes, thank you. And I missed that. And you can save your route. Anything else? So again, I've mentioned a couple of times because I know personally a few of you have seen this. You definitely can expand your ringless entries up to 10 by opening a case. You can do time of day routing, all of that kind of stuff here. And it routes down those advanced routes from top to bottom. And you can activate and deactivate. You can have, holiday, and then you can, after the holiday, you can take it off. You can do all of that. But there's a filtering effect in advanced routes that happen. And so you can have multiple routes set up there. All right, just a couple more things, guys, if you can stay with us just a little bit longer here. A couple of housekeeping and best practices around a general delivery mailbox. That each auto attendant comes with a general delivery mailbox by default, but there are some different SKUs that you may want where there isn't one, or maybe it's an announcement only or things like that. So we do have those available. You can access those messages through the telephone user interface, but all you have to do is dial the voicemail access number just like any other person checking voicemail and enter the auto attendant number and the PIN or the password for that mailbox. We recommend highly that when you're using this, you set up voicemail to email and that you use a distribution list, because if that's to an individual, they may be on vacation, nobody's checking messages. And you can manage the messages and playback and forwarding of those through your end user web portal. That's another handy tool. You can also set up different greetings, and a person within the company, whether it's the receptionist or the office manager, can go in and change the greetings as needed. And so they can, again, dial in just like you would to change your personal greetings. For the auto attendant, dial in and change the greetings and the recordings. You can do them through admin, but you can also do them through the telephone user interface. So that's a frequently missed thing that people tend to forget. And you can also set up a speed dial on a receptionist or an office manager phone, so that if they want to have a different greeting for holidays or whatever it is, they can go in and access voicemail, can automatically put in the auto attendant number and the password for the auto attendant, and they can go in and change those much easier. All right, any other Q&As, guys, that have come in that we might want to speak about before we wrap up?
There were a couple surrounding time of day. Just want to point out, the time of day routing for the Find Me, Follow Me allows you to, it gives you a weekly schedule, but you can't pick specific dates. So here's your Monday through Sunday, 24 hours a day. You can define what each of those days, and you can define multiple ones, but you can't say, I want this on June 21st to occur. But as Sarah pointed out, you can create many different routes and leave them inactive. So you can create holiday routing and then simply activate the routing on a holiday, so you don't have to go recreate it. But you can't pick specific dates like you can in the auto attendant.
Let me show this. So you can save it, and they'll all show in this here. Show up, and you can activate or deactivate. So this might be a holiday, and you can hit toggle status here, and then it will go inactive. And again, it's filtering. It'll look through this list. You can have a ton of these, but when you're ready, you can light it up. You can say this is Christmas, or whatever holidays that you have. Anything else, Dave or Lee?
Nothing from me, Sarah. Thank you.
And we'll make this presentation available to you when we distribute the recording. I'll hand it back to you, John.
Yep. Thank you very much, Sarah. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thanks for sticking around a few minutes after the top of the hour as well. Lots of great discussion here. And also thank you to the entire team here from the Ribbon side and Kandy side that have helped out with answering questions, including Dave Fowler, Lee Higgins, Ralph Page, and Ted Stutchberry. Once again, thanks for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you at our next Kandy Technical Fireside session, which we'll let you know about in the next week or so. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.